So welcome everyone, welcome. My name is Ricardo Catón. I am professor of history here at American River College. Some of you may know me. I teach the Chicano history classes here. I teach our Mexican history classes, Latin American history classes, and I do some world history as well. So welcome everyone. I'm glad that you can make it. Today we have the honor of having members of the Royal Chicano Air Force and also some friends, colleagues who have contributed and have been part of the Royal Chicano Air Force in one way or another. The purpose of today's presentation is to give you a sense of the history. Where does the Royal Chicano Air Force, from where does it arise, right? What are the roots of the Royal Chicano Air Force? But also, what is the legacy? Because indeed, one thing that I like to emphasize to my students is that history is not just something you study, it's in the past and it's gone and so forth. History is very much present with us, it's relevant to us, it continues to be there with us. And certainly what I hope that you will see by the end of today's presentation is that while the Royal Chicano Air Force goes back to 1969, certainly their legacy, their art, their struggle for social justice continues to this day. And certainly you'll get a sense of that as well. Two founding members of the Royal Chicano Air Force, Mr. Esteban Villa, who is indeed one of the founders of the Royal Chicano Air Force with us today. Mr. Rudy Cuellar, also another founding member of the Royal Chicano Air Force. And we have Mr. David Rasul as well with us today, and thank you, sir, for being with us today in our talk. Thank you so much.
Señora Comenades, para, por favor. Anybody here going to be a teacher or wanting to be a teacher? Talk to Señora Comenades and she'll tell you that it's not an easy job. And maybe you could say a few words.
It's not an easy job, but it's wonderful. It's very rewarding. When I came to this country, I couldn't speak English. Well, I still cannot speak English, quite right. But I'm very proud that I went to school when I have my 5 children already and my husband to take care of. It was very, very hard running around and trying to keep up with everything. But believe me, when I saw those little faces and now that they marry and they bring their children to my class, I was just fascinating. It's such a good feeling to be a teacher, be part of somebody's life. So I encourage anybody and everybody, it's a wonderful feeling. You know, you'll never regret it, and you grow up with your students in so many ways. I had the pleasure to have Rudy's children in my class, both of the girls. And I really see them on pictures and when they got married and everything, and I remember when they were little, I remember their little faces, and you know how cute they were, and now that they're women and they're doing all these things, it's wonderful. It's a good experience. Thank you.
Excellent, very good. So certainly now I would love actually to just pass it over to the founding members themselves so they could tell us about their reasonings for creating this art collective that becomes known as the Royal Chicano Air Force. So Mr. Cuellar and Mr. Villa, whomever would like to.
Let's let Esteban because he's got the most
Sure.
experience and the most muscle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's stand right here, is it okay?
Like Ricardo said, 1969 is just more or less. So if that's the case, we're going on to our 50th anniversary. And we've lost some people. And we've recently lost people. And we lost friends, and we lost a wife, she lost her husband. You know, I lost my mind. Remember the humor? Okay, but that's still a media.
Bueno, muchas gracias. I'm testing the volume here. And I learned that from the mariachis. You know, they don't have microphones. They carry around big boxes. They just throw their voice way back there so they can hear. This is my enunciation. Ricardo Catón, Roberto, David Rasul. Anyway, so thank you so much for being here. They got one thing right. We have a sense of humor. So, you know, it's very important that you practice that too. God gave you laughter to use, not to keep it inside yourself and giggle. No, laughter. So, muchas gracias again. Nice crowd. And it doesn't take a large crowd to change the world. You can think of some history, Fidel and what's his name, his partner, the Cuban, Che Guevara, thank you, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro. Two people, okay? To start the Royal Chicano Air Force, it started at a college level, not in the barrio or the streets, but in an academic institution that's approved by the state of California, by the way, okay? Just like here. So that's where it started, and because there was a lack of history, of Chicanoism, movimiento artístico de Aztlán, folclórico, Dia de los Muertos, Cinco de Mayo, burritos, tacos, oh my goodness. Even the president eats tacos. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you. Very important. You don't need a lot of people to change the world, like I said. In the beginning, at Sacramento State, me and Jose Montoya were trying to decide what to do with our education. Because one professor put it succinctly and said, if you don't put your education into practice when you graduate, you might as well stay home and watch football. What good is it if you don't practice? So please, there's a need for teachers, schools, architecture, language, culture, cultura, good food, nutrition, health, get rid of homelessness, crime, and all that. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And you, I don't know how you feel about it, are in a position to help to do that. Go out and put it into practice. How do you put education into practice? Well, in arte, you need these systems. The painting, poetry, photography, if you do any of those, okay, that's practice. Dance, folklorico or whatever, twerking, anybody do any twerking here? Between the twist and the jerk, right? And so put it into practice, sculpture, ceramics, theater, and architecture, if you want to get really big, okay? So this is what the RCAF is about, and has grown. Si usted no conoce el RCAF, usted no conoce Sacramento. Don't ever travel somewhere telling you're from Sacramento and say, have you met the Royal Chicano Air Force? I said, no, I never heard of them. They won't talk to you. They will not. How could you be from Sacramento? And that's where the RCAF started. What, Rudy?
Park, anybody been to Southside Park? Here's one of the gentlemen that is the originator of that mural at Southside Park. And let's see, David, you were there, and there was a lot of other men and women that created Southside Park. So that's RCF right there, and the Golden One.
Yeah, so, there's lots to say. So if you want to do a term paper on the RCAF, all you have to do is use your technology, right? Yeah, look it up in Facebook, website, Wikipedia, Facebook. We're in there, total. There's movies about us, there's books, there's magazines, there's Channel 6, PBS did Pilots of Aztlán. Ella Diaz has written a book, Flying Under the Radar with the Royal Chicano Air Force. There's books, there's music, there's so much going on. And I must confess to you, I'm absolutely thrilled that this has happened. Because what if it had not? What if we started a movimiento and it fizzled and it died out? No bueno, it's not Good. But look, we have not, I was telling Ricardo here that there's no history for us to study, so guess what? The RCAF said, well, let's make history. And everybody goes, what? We're not history, we're not important, we're nothing. No, please, don't think of yourself like this. You were put in this earth to make a difference. Okay. So I leave you, there's much to see and say, but I do want you to remember, take this back with you. Tres puntos. One, art, not guns. Art, not guns, that's number one. Number two, put arte into practice, make it your priority, teach it, do it. And three, teach, make teaching your career. This country is in dire needs of teachers and schools. We have to go hunt for teachers in other countries like the Philippines and bring them, okay, there's work. And of course, you understand that you don't want to be a teacher because we're the minimum wage profession. So low, abajo, the same salary you earn at Burger King. That's why the people don't want to go into teaching. They rather go to Silicon Valley. They make they start out at about $250,000 a year. Teachers, $50,000. It's not enough to pay for a six-pack or nothing, or rent, or rent. So, but don't let that distract you. Okay, I don't think I even ever got to paid $100,000 at Sac State back in the day, right? But guess what? During the summer, 3 months, and I did murals. Southside Park, got paid for that, Parks and Recreation. Chicano Park, Logan Heights, San Diego, $53,000 for each muralist. And lately, our mural this year completed flying with the Royal Chicano Air Force. And that wasn't much. It was only $350,000. Now we could buy 2 six-packs each, right? So it's a little better. So teachers, salary low, but make something out of it during the summer. Holidays, Christmas, Easter, boy, you know, we got a lot of time off. When I was teaching at Sacramento State University, I only taught 2 classes full-time. And then I called in sick on Monday as I'm not coming in. So I was teaching 1 day a week. And then sometimes I'd ask for hiatus, you know, where you get paid for 2 years off teaching. Not bad. Experience, you retire early and write a book about what you did. Like books, writers. So study your language, journalism, and everything, okay? There's lots of work to do, and the RCAF is a model that it doesn't require a whole army to make a difference. And please don't leave out the women, because I don't know about these other professors, but I believe that women are smarter than men. I do. Men don't like to hear that, women do.
Esteban, could you explain this is his mural.
Oh, yeah.
Just explain your work a little bit.
Yeah. What I was thinking of doing here, because Jose and I met at the California College of Arts and Crafts, that our teachers were people from the Bauhaus in Germany, when Hitler ran them out because they didn't like artists, because they were free thinkers. Ended up our teachers. I learned about Cubism, Pointillism, Impressionism, Fauvism, all the isms, and now we have Chicanoism. Wow, that's a new art. So this is my panel. The panels are about bigger than this screen, don't you think, Rudy? Oh, yes. Yeah, there's three of them. Stan Padilla and Juanishi did the other two. So there are 2 stories. Go to the Golden One, East Entrance 7th Street. If you can't afford to get in, look through the window like this. Hey, I know the artist that painted that. Graduation, basketball, and entertainment. You can go there and listen to the Beatles. Graduation, some of you are going to graduate from there. And, of course, basketball. 3. So this is called the Central Command Center, like NASA, okay? Aeronautic, that's what discuss ideas. That's my idea of this vertical design, okay? So if you notice, it looks like kind of abstract, but there's portraits of people like you in there. David Rasul might be in there, I don't know. I covered Native Americans, women, Chicanos, Mexicans, purple people, pink people, black people. I put them all in there, cultural diversity. The next one is Stan Padilla, he did the earth. Beautiful, there it is. You should see this in person. That is just an amazing piece, right? That's the earth, 4 directions. It's awesome. And we borrowed that from the culture from Mexico and other countries, of course. And, of course, American-made, right here. And then Juanishi did outer space. We're looking for a new planet in case Donald Trump messes this one up. And we'll find it. We'll find it. And then we build a wall and we'll let Donald Trump in. He said, you go back and live in that world you left behind. Yeah. So it's called flight. Take pictures in front of it, tell people about it, and you carry on with this tradition. Please, all you people here, have a special gift. Develop it, let it grow, make it meaningful, and carry on with our tradition of art and culture, okay? So, yeah.
Steven has, how many CDs have you created, or DVDs?
Well, I have 3 CDs. I'm also a songwriter, right?
You'll sing for us right now.
And right now I'm working, it's been a busy year, I'm working on my 4th one. I might think of calling it Southside Park because we helped design the mural there. And there's a lot of murals. So it might be Southside Park. I don't know. So music, murals, and it's been a busy year. Lectures.
And then this Friday, he receives one of the biggest awards in all of Sacramento. What is that one, from the Mexican Cultural Center or something?
Yeah, of Northern California. It'll be at the Hyatt. For some reason, it might be a mistake. I've been selected as the Artista of the Year, the Artist of the Year. Yeah, that's the good news, I said. Artist of the Year tomorrow at 6, Hyatt, here in Sacramento. The bad news is only 3 months left in the year. Why didn't they tell me at the beginning of the year? But I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, listen, I could talk forever. At first, would you believe once I was a little shy kid in Bakersfield, and now people think, stop. Thank you.
Just what, I would like for you, if possible, to clarify why the name Royal Chicano Air Force.
Oh, okay. We thought when we were at Sac State, we used to drive around in a van and, and during break and talk about, cultura and the lack of it. And so we were thinking, what shall we call ourselves? The Hispanic mural painters, Hispanic, Latino, maybe the Latino artists, wow. No, how about Mexican-American, Mexican hyphenated American? No, and then somebody said, we're militant. let's call ourselves the Rebel Chicano Art Front. So if you look at the acronym, it's RCAF, right? And every time we do a mural, we put Rebel Chicano Art Front, and then people say, hey, are you with the Royal Canadian Air Force? And we say, no, but we belong to the Royal Chicano Air Force. Wow, I didn't know you guys could fly planes. Wow, yeah, how do I join? How do I join? Who's in charge? Hey, that's top secret, we can't tell you that. So that's how we started with the name, Royal Chicano. You create your club, now there's a Me Too movement, and there's the Chicano Power, and Black Lives Matter, and oh, it's wonderful, you know, that people are not standing. Like some general said, better to die standing on your feet than begging on your knees. You're gonna go, why go begging on your knees? Sorry, no. Stand up. Yeah, and keep all this movimiento RCAF, okay? So we're everywhere. PBS, Channel 6 did Steve La Rosa did a video on us called what is it?
Pilots of Aslan.
Yeah, Pilots of Aslan, right? And then and then there's books. And there's movies, and there's everything about it, a lot of history. So we're not studying history, but guess what? We're making history. I want you to make history too, all of you. Don't expect to find history in a history book. My regret is, and I don't know about American River, but I know that other universities, they have classes in how to study art history. And guess what? There's not one chapter, one mention of ethnic art, Chicano art. There isn't. Something is very wrong. We're not history, we're not here. We don't count. Maybe they just don't like our art. And that's no excuse for us to be left out of the history of art. We're making it. We are making a difference, okay?
Does anybody have any questions at this time? Anybody like to ask a question? Feel free. The lady in the gray. Oh.
You have to take the mic.
That's what you call it. No, I can, yeah. Yeah, so let's pass it on to David.
Someone has to repeat the question to me here because I'm hard of hearing. He said the question was, you repeat the question.
Oh, there was no question. She didn't have a question, no. Okay, thank you, Mr. Villa. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Mr. Rasul. Now, a few words from Mr. David Rasul. Thank you.
Okay, I was part of the RCF, but I'm a non-artist. I can't draw a crooked line to save my life, but I was very involved with the RCF from a community aspect of it. I was part of the Tortuga Squadron, the non-flying squadron. So, and the RCF, they didn't fly real planes. They flew Adobe planes all over the United States and mostly around Sacramento. But I was part of, when I came back to Vietnam, I got involved with the RCAF. I started working in the community. I introduced to Rudy, to Esteban, to Jose, and it was an exciting time to be there because I was finding my identity, trying to find out who I really was. And they helped me. They were my mentors. They got me going into the community because when they talk about their humor as one of their key features, but there was humor with a purpose. Their purpose was commitment to the community, commitment to social justice. And that's what I got involved with. I was working for Sacramento Concilio, which is one of the nonprofit organizations helping people get their Social Security, helping social services in the streets. And we had a program called La Olotera. And that program was funded by the National Institute of Mental Health. And the purpose of the program was for us, as a street counselor, I got trained in order to have people who were having some issues with mental health. Before our program, they have one of our citizens in our communities would have mental health issues. So you go see a mental health clinic, they would talk to an interpreter, the interpreter would interpret to the psychiatrist would go back and interpret to the interpreter, back to the client. So it was a circle of it was like a menagerie that was just crazy, and not the real thoughts of the client was getting through. So the idea of the program was to train us, I was bilingual, being able to talk to the client directly. So it's called La Olutera. So in that part of that program, we had a Dr. Arnaldo Solis. He was a psychiatrist, and he came from San Francisco to train us how to be good counselors for our gente. And about after a year, Dr. Solis said, you know, we're dealing with our clients one-on-one. There's a greater issue here, the greater issue for our community. We're only hitting a small part of our community with that one-to-one kind of system. So he said, what are we going to do? So his idea about having a Dia de los Muertos. We did not have a Dia de los Muertos, which is a big traditional ceremony in Mexico and in the hearts of Chicanos Latinos. So we decided to have one here in Sacramento. And who do we turn to? We turn to the artists. The artists had the corazón, the knowledge, the spirit to help us do this. And it ended out that we had our first Dia de los Muertos along with one of the key figures that one of our warriors that passed away was Armando Cid. He was one of the forefronts that working with us for the Dia de los Muertos. We would go to the elementary schools, make máscaras, make a mask for our children, do Ojos de Dios. We had a big ceremony. We had a big a march, a spiritual march from Hiram Johnson High School to the St. Mary's Cemetery. It's probably the first one we ever had here in Sacramento. And again, so in effect, what we were doing, we were through the art, through our culture, our tradition, we were helping the whole community for mental health. Because a lot of people that came here felt isolated because in our community they did not see the reflection of their lives, of their culture. So the Dia de los Muertos was a way of doing that. And from that Dia de los Muertos, we went on to start Fiesta de Tlaloc, Fiesta of the Rain God, Fiesta de Maíz, Fiesta for the corn. So we had about 4 or 5 fiestas that again showed the community that this Sacramento is also part of them. Okay, and that was very important for our community's mental health. Today, last year, we had the first Dia de los Muertos here in Sacramento. We're going on, I think, our 44th anniversary of having the Dia de los Muertos here. Now, instead of one, we have one in Oak Park, we have one in St. Mary's, the one that we started, we have one in Woodland, we have one in West Sac, we have one in downtown on Old Sacramento, we have another one on 20th Street. So there's about 5 or 6 Dia de los Muertos events going on now. So again, I think it speaks to the commitment by the artists to make sure that it's a community art. Okay, the collective of RCF was a collection of artists. Now, a traditional artist collective only included artists. Like in France, they had a lot of collectives. In Spain, they had collectives. But with the collective here in Sacramento of RCF, we had people who work at the state government, people who work in the community, people who are working at the schools. When Esteban mentioned about him and Jose starting over at Sac State, one of the reasons why they got hired was because of Martha Bustamante, who had 0 education. She was a community member and saw a need, so she went to the board of Sac State and demanded that we have artists in our community. So again, it's not just one part of it, it was the whole community working together. And again, that art kind of gave us the posters. I brought a bunch of posters here, maybe. And Mecha. And very important. And maybe after, I'll put them up on the table up there. It's posters from the 1970s, okay, that I've been collecting. I've been selling the ones I have of double so I can fund I have a scholarship in my name over at Sacramento City College. It's called the David Rasul Dream Act Scholarship. So what I do with these posters, still with the art of the RCF, we're funding activities now. So one of the things that Jose mentioned also is that it's a continuous struggle. We didn't do everything that we wanted to accomplish back in the 70s and back in the 80s. As you know now, as you look at what the administration is doing with our gente, we still have to fight. Our message is, not to talk about the past and be proud of what we did, but not to glorify it and remain in the past. We have to use the past to work with the present. And that's something I think that the RCF has continued to do with their murals and their art and their efforts. I can say more, but I know there's
We can show some of the posters if you like. That would be great.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
How much time do we have? 15 minutes. So while he's showing the...
You can describe it if you want to.
well, let me go real quick through. While he's showing his posters, I'd like to go into time. This is 1978, East Los Angeles. It was the 10th anniversary of the Vietnam War moratorium. And you have a couple people here. While he's setting that up, here it is. While he's setting that up, I'll just go real quick and show you. This is Deborah Ortiz. She was the senator. She was also city council lady here in Sacramento. And then you have a bunch of other people that were involved at this event. And next one, real quick. And this is one of Jose's poems, and then keep on going. This was the, let's see, 1976. Look at the size of that mural. And this was done. See, that's the thing about the RCF. It's not only Sacramento. We are connected with these guys, the LA. We were connected with the UFW. We worked hard. You know, we would take food from up north to down south to Delano and distribute it during the strikes. Because when the strikes were going on for the farm workers, how could they feed their families and stuff like that? So there was a lot of that. And this was the convention, UFW convention in Fresno. So with that said, I'll just let David show his prints. Yeah.
Let me see if I can set this up. It's not really set up to show this way, but I think a 7 will recognize these. These are 2 prints that a 7 did. I found in my back shed about 2 years ago, and this is some of the bizarre work. One of them right here is one of our soldiers. Her name is Jenny Baca. And again, the RCF not only included the artists, but a lot of people who were working behind the scenes and making sure that the community events were taking place, and people were being fed. People were marched from Delano to Sacramento in protest with the huelga. They were very hard workers. Juanita Polendo, who, if you come tonight, she'll be here tonight to talk about her experience. We had Stan Padilla, Juan Carrillo, who used to be a professor at CRC, part of the movement. Sam Rios, who passed away about 2 years ago now. 2 years ago now? Approximately. He was a cultural anthropologist, and he was very strong. And one of the programs that we started with my sister, Rosemary Rasul, she was the director of the Washington Council, was Breakfast for Niños. The Breakfast for Niños was patterned after the Black Panther program in Oakland, where they fed children before they went to school. The nutrition program. So once again, something that we looked at, not just politics, we looked at children's nutrition, children's well-being. Here's the poster here by Louis. Is that Louis?
Cervantes did the drawing, and I did the printing. It was a trip I went to Phoenix, and I set up there, and they paid us to, it wasn't paid a lot, but I mean, they paid us to do it. There in Phoenix as a demonstration showing them what the community can do with silk screening. Silk screening is a less expensive method than offset printing, right? Offset printing is the machine. With silk screen, we found that it's within the realm and within the range of our budget.
And these are 2 very popular posters that they are kind of rare. All the posters I'm showing you, they're all archived in the Smithsonian. For example, the Smithsonian, this one right now is probably going for about $800. This one right now probably about $7.
That one's mine on the right, on his left. Also, they're at the Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara collection, which is at UC Santa Barbara. And that gentleman there, I can't remember his name, but he will be retiring pretty soon, and I don't know what they're going to do then.
So I've been selling these posters, the ones I have extra of, just once again if I can fund that scholarship. So, but they're not cheap because of that price. And this is another one here for, we have an education center, and this is one of Max Garcia did this one. I think it was Max, I remember I was working
Yeah.
with Max Garcia. Here's one by, this one here, Wanishi.
No, I think that's one of our students that did that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Rudy brings up a very good thing. He says one of the students that we always had a pilot training throughout the whole experience of the RCAF. So we're always willing to share their
And then this one here on his left-hand side is a Jose Guadalupe Posada, which I think some of you are well aware of who he was. He was doing little, what they used to call 1-cent flyers. But he would do the engravings, and this was one of the engravings. I just took the engraving, enlarged it, and used it for our, what, Cinco de Mayo, something like that? Yes. Because we brought back Cinco de Mayo. We brought back Días y Seis. We brought back Dia de los Muertos. It wasn't Corona. It wasn't Tecate or the cigarette industry. We were doing it, and we were getting funded. We had a little bit of money, and we worked it out with, yes, Señora Comandanes? Oh, okay. That's her daughter's.
And your father participated in that with all the pictures.
He danced?
No, he was the.
Oh, the photographer. Yeah.
All of that.
This one right here, Goonies?
Yeah, I did that one, and that's a real racy image of a revolutionary woman. I've seen presentations on this where they say this is exploitation of the La Valentina, whereas if any of you have seen the real Valentina, she was, 30-30 rifle, and not in a pretty situation like that. So that's to be debated.
And I don't care, it's one of my favorite ones. Oh, that's my cousin in Missouri. She's sure hard work.
A student did the one on the right, Zapata.
And of course, this is
Yes, on 14.
just on 14. Again, we were supporting not only, we put a lot of our support, the RCF was behind the political issues that affected our social justice. And then we had the fund move like the lowriders, which again, that was another symbol of social justice. They were being pressured, as they are now, by the police community, still are.
Yeah, that Yes on 14, what we would do, we would be the labor, and we would do, hundreds of these prints, and they would distribute them for the UFW. When the UFW came into town, we would do security for them. We were never trained on security. We didn't even know what to do if something came down, but that was some of the things that we would do. And it was a lot of people. It wasn't just the RCF, like David says. There was a whole bunch of us.
Let me ask you a question. When you see the posters I'm showing you, what speaks to you? Anybody? Colors. What's that?
Colors.
Colors, yes. Colors? Culture. Pardon me? Culture. Culture? Yes, culture does. Again, one of the aspects of art is that before the Chicano movement, there wasn't all art. We had, of course, we had Rivera and Siqueiros, the muralists. But in our community, there was a very lack of art. There was no reflection of who we are, what our experiences were, where our heart was, where our spirit said. So with posters, it's a community reflection of who we are in our daily lives, in our values. Yes?
Can you identify yourself? Stand up, please. Because we don't know.
I talk like a mariachi singer too. My name is Griselda Casillas. I'm an adjunct counselor here at American River College. But my bachelor's degree is in ethnic studies with concentration Chicano studies.
So are you going to be speaking at the 5 o'clock? You're taking Manuel?
No.
Oh, man, you guys
Yeah.
get yourself.
Unfortunately, no.
Well, you can be there, please.
And I'm sure you know, if you don't, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Manuel Ruelas. He's been here for 30 years. Back when I went back to school when I was 42, I was a planner for the state of Sacramento. I went back and started my master's in the counseling department here at Sac State. And at 46, I finally got my master's.
Thank you, Manuel.
Oh, this is my cousin's work again.
Wow.
Who's that, Muhammad Ali? It's funny, she has that triangle. This is a story. And this is a picture of one of the, when we got this in Soldado, across from the Capitol. And this is with one of the first posters in our efforts to try to this is another story. It's a long story, but it was moved 3 or 4 different places in the basement. But it was developed by and funded by the Mexican American War Mothers of World War II veterans. And so it's an homage to the Mexican American in assisting in the wars we had, the Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans, World War II veterans. But it's now actually in place. And this one right here, I kind of like this one. This is it says, "Baby, sabes que sí." And that's Louis the Foot.
Louis the Foot.
And this is by Max Garcia. It's a iconic poster of the RCAF. And that's something from Mexico. And this right here is Juanishi Orozco from one of our fiestas. Fiesta de
Stan Padilla.
No, this is Juanishi. Yeah. He redid it again. We just needed to reissue it. Yeah. And this is Juanishi Orozco. Also, we had, again, as part of our thing, instead of having poetry only in the higher institutions, this was done at the Reno Club, a famous club downtown that is a Chicano Latino club. There's a lot of dancing, a lot of drinking, a lot of things going on there.
Well, it was a bar. It was a Mexican bar. It was called El Famoso Reno Club.
Almost a Reno Club, yeah.
But boy, it could go down. Anybody remember the Matador Club? It was on Franklin Boulevard. A friend of ours used to call. Yeah, a friend of ours used to call it the killer door. Mata door.
And this is another one by Juanishi. This is Juanishi, right?
That's me.
That's you. That's you. That's with Rudy. So, and this is again details. So anyway, I'll just end with there and let Rudy continue.
Yeah. How we doing on time?
This illustrates that the RCAF was
Can we have Steven sing a couple songs?
committed to community.
Do we have time for one song? Steven, you got time for that classic song by, ¿cómo se llama? Lara? That said, if anybody has any questions, please ask us at this time. We're more than happy to try and answer your questions. I apologize that our time goes by so fast sometimes.
It does go. Hello. It does go quickly. However, as Mr. Villa is taking out his guitar here, I do want to invite all of you as well. Later tonight at 5 o'clock at the Hub, we're going to go a little more into detail in our discussion. We will have some refreshments if you want to stop by, get some refreshments as well. From 5 to 7 o'clock, we're going to continue the discussion. We're going to have more guests with us who could not join us at this moment, but they will be here later in the evening, 5 to 7 o'clock at the Hub. So certainly if you can make it, we'd love for you to be there.
Please make it, because the more the merrier. It's knowledge. It's knowledge that you're not going to get on TV. It's knowledge that needs to be shared, and that's why we're here. Like when Ricardo asked me, he goes, "Hey, could you help me do this?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "You're not going to get paid." And I said, "I'm retired." But it does take time, and then there's another problem. Somebody gets left out. And I said, "Look, I'm just doing the best I can. I'm not leaving anybody out. I'm just trying to get this going." So with that said, presento Esteban Villa, el más grande de todos.
I'll think loud.
Okay.
Just so they could get out the, so it comes up in the video.
That's okay. Let's, I'm trying to figure out cuál es la canción que quisiera cantar aquí. Well, I think it'll be like the immigration going on right now. And this is Jose Olay, okay? Little humor. I left my rancho in Durango to come and work in the USA. I was ready, willing, and able to work and pay my way. They were friendly at the border. Welcome, Jose Jole. You are now in the land of the free, but there's a price you got to pay. I met a pretty señorita, pretty as she could be. I was the happiest man in the world when she said she'd marry me. I want a house, a boat, a family, a diamond ring, and a new car too. Si no puedes, querido, then I will never marry you. Toodaloo, 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 toodaloo. Toodaloo, Jose. Toodaloo, 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 toodaloo. Toodaloo, ole. And now I'm living in the ghetto, lonely as I can be, wondering how in the world I became a deportee. But now I'm back home in Durango, happy as I can be. The love, peace, and happiness I found inside of me.
It ends now. Excellent. So before we close today, just briefly, any questions, any last minute questions that we have for our guests today? Manuel. Say it? Oh, the dog's name.
Oh, CJ. CJ's trained to watch. Hey, get over there. He's trained to take care of me. I've reached that point in my life where I fall down, not drinking, I fall down. And so he's supposed to step me and then I'm supposed to wake up.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you again, everyone, for being here today. Hopefully you got some information that will help you as you move forward. But certainly, again, we hope that you come back later today so we can continue this conversation. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.